Hello, my name is Kanishk Tihaiya, and I will be discussing Fengshui, a 2018 South Korean film that explores the concepts of power after death, betrayal, political ambition, and fate. The film relies on heavy historical context during the late Joseon Dynasty, with obvious narrative choices that don't make it entirely historically accurate. However, there's a large focus on cultural symbolism and how ambition and legacy affect multiple generations. So we'll be looking at the plot, the characters, the themes, and how they might lead to the rise of deeper questions regarding human nature. So about the director and cast, Feng Shui was directed by Park Hee-gon, and generally the film received mixed reviews, and critics seem to believe that the film was carried by its cast, and it lacked the gripping elements to make it a political thriller. Lead actor Cho Sung-woo, uh, he plays Park Jae-sung, a Feng Shui expert who focuses on auspicious places for burying grounds and capital cities. At the beginning of the film, we see him take on a lot of smaller roles related to local villages and trying to bring positive energy and auspiciousness to the villagers' lives. The main supporting actor is Ji Sung, who plays Hong Sun, a mistreated member of the royal family. In the film, he's referred to as a royal dog, and he teams up with Jae Sung to challenge the authority of the Kim family, who is looking to seek out power after death. Okay, let's move into the historical background regarding Feng Shui and its role in shaping Korea. So it was historically used to find auspicious land for burial grounds and capitals, and this is exactly the type of role we see Cho Sung-woo's character Park Jae-sung play in the film. Apparently, the location for the capital city of South Korea, Seoul, the location was determined by Feng Shui principles. And at the end of the film, we see, right before the credits, we see Jae-sung's final mission to find a strategic land to train the Korean military. Now let's move into Hong-sun, also known as Daewon-gun, his historical background. So, Hong-sun was actually based off of a real historical figure who's referred to as Daewon-gun. So he acted as a regent during the late Joseon Dynasty. He was the father of Emperor Gojong, and Gojong was the husband of Queen Myeongsong. And Daewon-gun was known for his resistance to foreign authority and to increase the power of the royal family, and to make sure that foreign influence, specifically Japanese influence, would be reduced. However, in the film, there's a lot of context that is added to his character, in that, yes, he wants to increase the power of the royal family, but he ends up mirroring the same traits as the Kim family, who are the main antagonists throughout the film. Okay, let's look into the power and betrayal unfolding throughout the film. So we see numerous betrayals, specifically amongst the Kim family, where even the higher-ups within the family betray their subordinates who have been loyal the entire time. We see Hong-sun's greed, and we see how he becomes exactly like the Kim family, seeking power after death by the means of finding auspicious burying grounds. Jae-sung realizes that power is meaningless after death, and that such betrayal is foolishness. He goes above and beyond the common desires of people at that time. Let's compare Jae-sung versus the Kim clan. So Jae-sung seeks out a greater purpose, beyond the common goal of power after death. Now, this is amazing for his character, because at the beginning of the film, he suffers the loss of his wife and child due to the Kim family's influence. And then he starts struggling with a sense of duty. After the death of his family, he takes on small jobs, but then is asked to find auspicious land for burying grounds. And he slowly begins to realize that power after death is meaningless, especially once Hong-sun betrays him towards the end of the film. And he realizes that Hong-sun is just like the Kim family trying to seek out power after death. As mentioned earlier, the Kim clan is very power hungry, and they're manipulative, and they emphasize the theme of betrayal. They use their subordinates and puppets ruthlessly, betray their own, and they're seeking power after death, which we end up realizing is futile. Now let's compare Jae-sung versus Hong-sun. So we already established Jae-sung's character. Hong-sun influences others for personal gain, and he seeks out power after death, just like the Kim family. And he represents greed and utter ruthlessness. We see the character of members of the Kim clan from the very beginning of the film. We see what they're capable of. However, Hong-sun's ambitions and drive remains hidden throughout the film until the climax, where we see that he goes against Jae-sung and he tries to make sure that his lineage, his royal family lineage, is what remains in power after his death. And that is what ends up happening at the end, for at least a generation. So Jae-sung understands that power is meaningless after death, and he breaks the cycle of revenge. He realizes that betrayal and repeated treacheries, seeking revenge, leads to more destruction and loss in the long term, and cutting off that cycle is the most important part. We initially asked the question, why does Jae-sung not seek immediate revenge? And even when he teams up with Hong-sun and tries to take down the Kim family, why does he not give in to his selfish desires? Why does he go above and beyond and end that cycle of revenge? So here are some questions. Some are answered, some are not, by the end of the movie. Why forego revenge? Why didn't Jae-sung avenge his wife and child earlier? The cycle of revenge. Does anyone truly escape revenge and greed in this world? And did Jae-sung escape it? I believe he did. And we see at the end of the film, he's still when he's older, we still see that, he hasn't been as negatively impacted by the power struggle after death that turned the Kim family into turmoil and affected Hong-sun's desires. We can safely assume that he did escape this cycle. Now, the legacy of Fengshui. We see how it's useful for determining the location of capital cities and burying grounds, but how did destiny and belief in Fengshui shape Korea's history and even our own lives nowadays? Power after death. Why is power after death so highly sought after? So here are some key takeaways and the final reflections based on the film. So I said at the beginning that this film tackles concepts such as ambition, political desire, and power after death. But ultimately, we see Jae-sung go above and beyond these seemingly irrelevant concepts. And we see that wisdom can emerge from such circumstances. We also see the film respecting its cultural roots as it addresses the importance of Feng Shui in Korea's history and storytelling. And we still see that Feng Shui has a major superstitious impact in modern day Korea. Finally, reflecting on morality. Power should be questioned, and revenge is often meaningless in the long term. In the short term, revenge may feel satisfying, but ultimately it comes back to bite us more often than not. And that ultimately in the long term is not worth the initial satisfaction of delivering revenge. So Feng Shui challenges us to think about the true cost of achieving such power and what that power's historical ties are.